everyone, and welcome to our weekly 30-minute workshop. My name is John Deline. I'm a systems engineer here at Variphy, and I'll be your host. We're joined today by my great friend and colleague, another systems engineer, Matt Sykes. Hey, Matt, how are you doing today?
Hey, John, how you doing, buddy? I'm doing well, thank you.
I'm doing really well, actually,
Good.
for a Wednesday. All right, so for today's workshop, Matty Ice is going to demonstrate our computed ring time metric and how you can utilize this exciting feature newly available today in Variphy version 13.1.0. We're going to start off with a quick overview of our company and what we do. We'll jump into a live demo where Matt's going to be taking us through computed ring time and how you can use it. We'll pause for Q&A and get some of your questions answered. During the demo, if you have any questions, make sure to ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right of the screen. After Q&A, we'll award one lucky attendee with a $50 Amazon gift card. So hang around to see if you may have won. Variphy is the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration, providing industry-leading CDR, UCCX, and Cube analytics, along with fully customizable dashboards, remote phone control, change and DID management, and coming very soon, Zoom phone analytics and dashboards. But today we're going to focus on reporting with computed ring time metrics. If you have any questions on any of our other features, or if you have some interest in participating in our Zoom beta testing, please feel free to chat to me in the Q&A panel on the bottom right of your screen, or reach out to your account manager for additional information. One more thing before we kick things off, Variphy does offer a consultative service that provides you a personalized experience with your Variphy system. Variphy's SE team engages with you on a one-on-one basis to remotely provide additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. This is a service that provides you with a dedicated Variphy SE to do all the heavy lifting, giving you a completely hands-off experience. For more information, please contact us and we'd be glad to speak more in depth about our enhanced consultative services. Well, with all that said, we're going to go into the wild. Matt, take it away, sir.
Sir, pass me the ball and I'll grab it and run. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Matt Sykes with Variphy. John, thank you for setting the table. And as John mentioned, we're going to be covering one last time computed ring time on the approaching Variphy 13.1 release, which actually just went GA about an hour or so ago. So hot off the presses. Okay, so for today's content for this workshop, we're focusing on computed ring time. Now, some of you may be asking yourselves, Matt, what is computed ring time and how does it differ from the normal ring time metrics? I'm so glad you asked that. Ring time is mainly for single leg calls, kind of direct calls. John calling me calling John, someone calling me directly to my DID, where there's no transfers, no redirections and stuff like that, just single point A to point B styles of calls. That's definitely what we have used ring time for throughout the application's history, I suppose. But ring time is not a metric that call manager's CDR provides. We actually have to derive the ring time metric ourselves, and we do so or have done so with differences between datetime origination and datetime connect. The computed ring time CRT, which I'm going to abbreviate it as, is going to look a little deeper for calls that actually have complex calling scenarios. So definitely calls that have multiple hops, redirects, forwards, transfer, call parks, IVRs, unity handlers, name it. There's always more than one related leg in those sequences. So this is what this metric is going to assist with now for those more complex calling styles, so that we can provide an accurate kind of speed to answer, if you will, on the ring time metrics. Now, I'm not saying that this is replacing ring time. It's going to be different. It's going to be a better version of ring time for the complex calls that have cradle to grave reporting. All right. So let's just, I want to pull up one quick equation here just to show everybody. If you want to take a screen grab, by all means, or if you want to look at the video at a later time, by all means. At the present, and moving forward, ring time, the ring time metric is not going to change. So we are deriving that from the difference between datetime origination and datetime connect, giving us 16 seconds here. Now the computed ring time, as I made mention, is going to be for the more complex calling scenarios. So there's always more than one, I guess, related call leg in that sequence. And this right here is actually a prime example of these top two records because they are related to one another based off of the global call ID I see here and probably the phone number and some other pieces of the call records. But what we can see here is ring time and computer ring time are mirroring each other in on this first row, simply because it's the first leg of the call. There is no previous aforementioned call that we can reference, which there shouldn't be. So these should match. Now, certainly when it comes down, where the call is redirected, transferred, forwarded off to another entity, unfortunately, call manager has been giving us pretty much the similar timestamps, and I'll show you some reports in a moment. But in other words, what I'm trying to say is we're cleaning up the ring time with using the computer ring time in the more complex call scenarios. So as opposed to a ring time metric on this leg being 43 seconds, which is actually wrong, it should be 3 seconds. And I'll get into why in a few moments here. Okay. Again, you know, the more complex ones that are going to need the computed ring time are going to be the calls that have, you know, cradle to grave logic turned on within them. So let's actually go take a quick look at one of these one of these reports with some single leg calls as well as some other cradle to grave logics. So here's an example I have. Let's just zoom in for our eyes. I ran this for some December data in one of my labs here. 31 calls for 31 call counts for calls represented to this number here. Here is the granular detail of all 31 of these calls. I do have ring time and computer ring time in here, but let's just take a quick look. Now, these are all matching. Now, why are these all matching? Because they're either single legs or they're the very first row or leg, if you will, in a scenario that has cradle to grave logic or related calls, excuse me. That will be denoted here by the furthest most right column of related calls. Now, these first top two don't have any. The third one does. So these are certainly these are certainly mirroring the ring durations between all of them. Even this third one here that actually has related legs. Let's take a quick look at it. So if we click on this guy down here, it'll shoot us down to this report, to this scenario for the sequence here. So we can see here's the number I had built in this report's filter here. So for a minute or so, this external person is connected to that number here for just shy of a minute. But what we can see as we comb down the sequence a little longer here. Here's ring time, here's computer ring time. These are still in line, but now we get to one that's further down the list and further down the routings, because we can see unity is apparent in this calling scenario. So unity is doing some switching and some routing to aid this call along to its final destination point. But what we can see here on the very last leg here, when the external person is finally connected to the proper internal entity, we don't want to give a ring time of 47 seconds on this. We'd prefer to give 15. The reason why? Because the ring time metric, once again, is taking datetime origination subtracted, or the difference of the datetime connect. And these two, 2608 and 2655, is 47 seconds. However, the logic and the computation, as I made mention earlier, I'll pull it back up for our eyes. So the computer ring time computation, or the arithmetic, is going to look at the current, the current cradle to grave leg that you're looking at. It's datetime connect, or CDR2's datetime connect, this one right here, subtracted from the previous leg's datetime termination, which is the previous leg's datetime termination. However, Cisco gives us the same stamp of origination on both of these legs. So that's why this one is 2608 and 2608, 0 and 0, because this one was also on the same timestamp as well. But once we get to the very last leg where we're actually connected to someone and there was positive talk time, we get the same origination stamp. So that's why our ring time is definitely off as we're down these tertiary legs in the sequence here. But the computer ring time is going to clean all that up for us. So once again, last time, we're going to look at two different legs to derive that computation for computed ring time. So 15 seconds is the difference between 2640 and 2655. So there's definitely a lot of environments that gauge off of speed to answer on a lot of calling scenarios. Definitely for hunt groups, that's definitely the scenarios I'm going to be picking on here today. But definitely in the hunt groups, or there could be unity call handlers or present in those routings as well, can definitely complicate or definitely inflate the ring time metric that we've already had. So definitely when you look at a couple 100 seconds, where it should be maybe under 10 seconds or under 30 seconds, which is a normal kind of metric managers are looking for, the ring time has been wrong on these complex scenarios, but now the computer ring time will be accurate moving forward here for those scenarios. Okay, let's take a quick look at maybe an example that doesn't even have computer ring time in it. Now here is a normal, I guess, hunt group report that I showcase on a frequent basis here on my demonstrations. So I'll look at this one user's call traffic here. This is Bill Grace, member of a hunt group. We've got plenty of calls to look at. Let's look at this one. This one's 5. Now let's kind of pound home here, kind of the, ooh, that one's kind of ugly actually. Well, we can use this one. So an external caller calls in, they hit a Unity handler, they go into contact center. We're daisy chaining on down the way, but let's take a quick look. All right, that one's gonna be a fool of me. All right, let me pick on a better one here. Perfect example. Okay, how about this one here? So here's a call that comes into a Unity call handler right here. They press a menu option, get routed over to this maintenance hunt group here. Okay, so the ring time right now, once again, is just taking origination subtracted from the connect and giving us 27 seconds. However, it's not taking into account these 20 seconds of positive talk time or positive connection time while connected to the Unity handler. So it has the same origination timestamp. So this, on the second leg here, this ring time is actually wrong in our estimates. So once again, the CRT, or the computer ring time metric logic, is going to take the difference between the secondary legs daytime connect and the previous aforementioned legs termination stamp. So 5230 from 5237 is going to be 7 seconds. So the computers, so it only took Bill 7 seconds to answer this call, as opposed to 27, which is inflated because of these the duplicated stamps of origination times provided in the Cisco CDR. So that's really what I want to hammer home there. So let's take a quick look at some of the other ones. So I have some other reporting examples here where it's going to be quite apparent here. Now I'm picking on another original call party number here. Let's zoom in for our eyes if this doesn't break on me. All right, let's slide on over. I have cradle to grave legs over here. Oh, of course, sizing always comes at the wrong time. Let's go take a look at one of these. Okay, perfect examples right here. Two-leg call right here. External caller calls in. Once again, they're hitting a Unity handler here as well, but they're connected to Unity for 34 seconds. So once again, same daytime origination stamps from call manager on these two CDR legs, but the ring time of 42 seconds isn't really accurate because it's not taking these 34 seconds into account. Once again, we take that arithmetic or the equation here to subtract CDR2's connect minus CDR1's disconnect, and that should be 8 seconds. So 30 and 12 and 30 and 20, 8 seconds is true ring time before this entity answered this call and carried on with business. Okay, so that's great to see, but definitely these can be compounded. I think I have a pretty ugly looking one here. Let's take a look at these. Why does sequence 85 ring a bell to my ears? Perfect example. Yep, let me zoom in. Hopefully I don't lose it. But on the sequence 85 here, on the very last leg here, once it gets connected to this hunt, of course, once it gets connected to this hunt, but you can see here, the ring duration, just the plain Jane ring duration is 123 seconds. Why? Because all three of these call legs that are related to one another have the same origination timestamp. So we kind of want to throw that out the window with regards to the complex cradle to grave reporting and leverage the computer ring time. So once again here, 10:22, 27 minus 24 is going to be 3 seconds. So it only really rang for 3 seconds as opposed to 2 minutes and 3 seconds. So it's definitely what the computer ring time is going to bring a lot of added value for the reportings, so that we can go ahead and then build out reports that would look like this. Zoom in for your eyes. Now, once again, I'm picking on another hunt group here. I pick on hunt groups because there's normally a lot of complex routing, or at least multi-leg calls that are related to the initial call. So looking at this very high level here, but what I want to make mention of, so we do have new columns for computer ring time. We have new summarizations for it as well in the groupings. I'm going to point those out. Let me zoom in just a tad more for everyone's eyes and the benefit of the recording. Okay, so of these 233 calls for some time frame here in November, a couple months back here, 233 calls, I have my total duration, my total average duration, my total talk duration, but also I've thrown in the total average ring duration, the regular ring duration once again. But I also have the computer ring duration right next to it. Look at the difference here. So it's, as opposed to 40 seconds of regular ring time, which is inflated on these complex calls, it really should be 11 seconds of average ring duration, or computer ring duration, excuse me, quote unquote. but we'll also have others as well. So we're going to have abandoned, we'll have not connected computed ring times as well. I think I have a few of them down here in the groupings. As I do, here we are. Abandoned call, average computed ring duration. Now there are only 4 on this one user here or on this one Mac, but we can certainly see what the computation is there. And then once again, regular ring duration, that average versus the average computed ring duration, certainly you can see the big difference here. Now this is just some lab data I'm playing with here, but certainly in a real world environment, this could be a few minutes off. And definitely for managers out in the field, I definitely know that the average speed to answer is a very important KPI for reporting and for the productivity of their team or the measures they lay out for their teams. Okay, so I think that should drive home exactly what that's delivering, but maybe it's a smidge more, a hair more I'll give you. So in this report, once again, just laying the regular ring time average on top of the computed ring time for these 233 odd calls. Let me just look at the differences. These are certainly inflated over what the true ring values should be, or these are averages, but the average ring durations should be, but we'll call them average CRTs. So definitely, I wouldn't say 20 plus seconds here in this, at least this lab environment here, but certainly that's over a benchmark that could be set for 30 seconds. So that's definitely what we want to showcase the value for. And then in some reports, you may be swapping out the ring duration with the computer ring duration for these complexities, and we would certainly be more than willing to assist you with that. Okay. Now, there are some things I do want to make mention as well here. Let's pop back to the UI. So, how do we do this? Or how does it get done necessarily? So I'm going to show you here real briefly in the off the settings gear. Let me go into system and then the application settings. So underneath, once this page loads up, there's going to be a CDR processing section here underneath the app settings. Right here we go. These are 2 new line items. So the computed ring time is not built automatically when data is processed into Variphy. There is a secondary post-processing job that needs to run. By default, it's going to run every 4 hours and sweep all the data, and even can sweep back a little further if need be for longer kind of expected call durations that you may normally have within the environment. But what this will do is I want to make this very specific, for new data that we're processing. So if you load up 13.1 on your Variphy system this afternoon, next week, tomorrow, whatever it may be, it is not going to apply retroactively to all your historical data that's sitting in your databases. And certainly the reason for that would be, seems smart because, we wouldn't want, to have multi-year databases start reprocessing the whole amount of all the call records in that database just for a ring time metric. So the new stuff being processed after you load 13.1, yes, that will fall underneath this 4-hour kind of post-processing window and along that job, and they'll get taken care of. Now, there's definitely going to be ones that are of more historical variety, and I'll kind of take a stab at that right now. So let's jump back into the analytics real briefly here. Let's go back to the healthcare cluster. And I'm going to pick on just a different field instead of Hunt Pilot. I'll pick on the original called party number. This one should be good enough. But I will pick on a point in time. Let's go pick, not current day, let's go pick it, I don't know, let's do the end of December or something like that. One day, I don't want to grab too much data. There's too much data in this lab to begin with. All right, so for calls that are getting presented to this DID within this environment here, okay, so I have 58 calls. We can see very easily here, I do have computer ring times on these, and I must have ran an export on those. All right, bear with me one moment. Let me find the one that doesn't have something. Perhaps I should print this day. Too much lab testing is what this comes down to. Let's work this out a little bit. Okay, perfect. All right, I'll take one record. But what this will show is for the historical data sitting in your databases, once again, the computer ring time is not going to populate automatically. Now, I don't know whether or not this actually has a related call link to it or not, but if this was a results page, if I was looking at a hunt group or some type of pilot number and the ring time is populated as it normally is, but the computed ring time is not, and it's obviously we're past the point in time for the 4-hour window for Variphy to update and run the post-processing job to go ahead and populate that. So what we would need to do is either from this history section or from the report section, we need to run the report. We need to run a report with cradle to grave logic turned on. So I'm just going to show you that real briefly. sliding into this export. I'm going to come right down to the cradle to grave logic wrench here. I'm going to turn it on, and then I'll run it maybe in HTML. But now once I go ahead and run this, this will engage and have the application go ahead and run that post-processing job to go ahead and calculate that computed ring time to populate in this report. Now, once again, I don't know whether or not I have a secondary call on this one leg here. Chances are it's just one single leg, and the ring time and computer ring times will mirror each other. However, if not, I'll see a secondary call leg and then certainly see that population therein. Okay, I don't. Okay, that's fine. It was only a single call leg. I was taking a stab in the dark here, but once again, now we can see the computer ring time has been populated. So now actually, if I rerun this quick search, this should be populated now. So just want to make everyone aware of kind of the historical processing that need to be kind of kicked into gear if you want to see the computer ring time populate for your historical data sitting in your database. Okay, now take a look at all of that. Once again, yeah, so I mean, the computed ring time is definitely going to provide, accurate, speed to answer on these types of call handlements for the complexities. And we can always, once again, we can certainly, pit regular ring time and computer ring time, against one another within the same report if we need to. But we definitely don't want to confuse anybody who may be a report reader at the end of the week or at the end of the month, et cetera. But certainly you can work with us and we can see whether it's beneficial to actually just remove the regular ring time from the report, or have you not select it and just run with computed ring time. Now, definitely we call it computed ring time or computed ring duration within the application. However, certainly we can use custom label sets. So if we want to go ahead and replace one of these headers with average speed to answer, for instance, as opposed to one of these default column headers out of the Variphy suite, certainly we can go ahead and do so. And I think I do have one created here. Let me slide on over to the configure option. Within analytics, the configure option, if we go into the custom label sets, this is where they live. And I do have one. Just the one. So you can have plenty. You can, with these label sets, you can pretty much just relabel everything as you see fit. Now, nothing is turned on, but I did build this one for this lab example here. So I created a statistic and call scenario label set or label type for total average computed ring duration, and I'm going to call it average speed to answer. So if I need to, I can certainly go ahead and, I'm not going to at this point, but if I wanted to, let's see, where are you? Back to my reports. If I wanted to, I could hit the play button on this guy. And then down right here in the delivery option, you'll see label sets. So having a custom label set then would allow me to go ahead and key off of that custom label set. And if I need an appendix, I can certainly include that in the report. But certainly that would show out for me in a report example, replacing this header here with average speed to answer if I wanted to run that report, but I won't for sense of brevity here. Okay. Also, one thing I noticed last night while I was hammering away at some of this data, prepping for this call, for this demonstration, was I think there's a good option here for us to go ahead and build reports around call park pickups. Let me zoom in for everyone's eyes here. So at the moment, or previously to 13.1, call park scenarios. So when calls are, calling into environments, go look at some raw data here. When calls are calling into environments, here's a good one. We're calling into environments and whether or not a call does get parked. If a call gets parked, and not a bad example on this one, but if a call does get parked, once it gets picked up at the very end of the call manager stamp, unfortunately, is going to leave us with 0 ring duration. So we don't necessarily want that, but what we can, let me find one. Here we go, here's a perfect one. Here's one where we actually have the regular ring time of 0, but the computed ring time is actually 26 seconds. Now this is actually leaning on a call park pickup reason that I'm also filtering on in that report, and we'll hop back to it in a moment. But what we can see here and then leverage, okay, so of all the calls that are coming into, I guess I was probably keying off of this original call party number. It's probably why that's highlighted here. So all the calls that were coming into this, but also this call did get parked. So after 14 seconds, this second leg here did go to call park. I can see that over here on the on behalf of codes. But that call did not get picked up again until a little bit later. But also the regular ring duration, unfortunately, gets the same stamp as, or very close stamp to the one before, but its origination and connect are exactly the same. So that's why thusly there is 0 ring duration. However, using the CRT, we're going to look to the previous leg, its termination. So this is the call. This is the call here that did get parked. It got parked at 2:57 and 23 seconds. Was not connected on the next leg until 57:49. difference, obviously, 26 seconds. So this is actually going to be able to help us leverage and showcase to the managers and supervisors how long people are spending in those call parks. So certainly if you don't want to see people sitting in here for minutes or long minutes, 10 minutes or so, definitely we'd want to keep that in the forefront of our minds. Thusly why I built a report around that to identify that. Where is it? Nope, it's the very top of this guy. Call park pickup. So what I did was I created a cradle to grave search set summary, keying off of call park pickups as a code. So of these 247 calls for D30 that were presented in, once again, here's our regular ring duration, which is 7 seconds, computed, which is 6 seconds. It's 1 second lower. Maybe not the best example, but certainly it's lower than the regular, so it's not inflated. However, we do see there was plenty of call park pickups on those calls. And I'll show you how I built this in a second, but 67 of those 247 calls got parked. That's the fact. But now having the computer ring time measure, I can actually showcase to you what is the average time that they're actually sitting in those call parks. So here in this example, it's only 20 seconds. Once again, if we're leaning on the regular ring duration, it's 0. That's not helping anybody. So we definitely need the computer ring time to discover that. But once again, this can very easily polish and showcase to you for a group as a whole or individuals at the group level down here, which they are, can showcase you what their average speed to answer is. Now, this one's specific on call park pickups, but I think that one is definitely going to be paramount for managers and supervisors to be aware of. How did I build this report, you're going to ask? I will. Okay, so I'm keying on just a original call party number. This could certainly be a Hunt Pilot DN. I'm not really worried about the grouping measures on the device and what I'm including here, but certainly we can include all the computed ring durations, the abandoned computed ring durations, the connected, the not connected. There's plenty of them. I type in the, I'll say that for later. But if I wanted to type in the compute option, I can certainly see that there and see all the leverageable computer ring time options here at the grouping section. Also, the same pair true for the search set statistics for the main overall search set summary for the search set. So those are in here as well. But what I did was in the cradle to grave section here for this report, let me show your eyes real quickly one last time, how I was able to derive this for call park pickups and what I did to do that. So what I did was in the cradle to grave section, I created a cradle to grave search set. And what I did was on this one, I just keyed up simply on where the last redirect reason equals call park pickup. That's picking up those 67 calls for me out of those 247. Now, I don't need to I guess, reinvent the wheel and put in the main original search filter, which was the original called party number on this DID here within this search set. The cradle to grave is a tertiary sub-summarization off of all of the initial things that we have built in the search sets. So I don't need to polish that out. All I need to do is just throw this in here. I hid the filter from the results, and that was very easy for me to key off of where is it? This report here, and then provide me the summarization for these 67 calls of the 247 that actually hit the call park pickups. Now, once again, let's just kind of peruse a little raw data once again here. Now, in these sequences here, now, once again, these are cradle to grave sequences here. Complex meaning more than one call, not too complex, or just more than one call leg. Okay, but this last redirect reason column I have here, call park pickup. So when calls are coming into these hunt groups, into the IVR, shared line appearances, whatever the case may be, if we're seeing call park pickup with regularity, or if it's just a normal convention on your system here, I would think you'd want to know about how long people are sitting in those call parks. Now, once again here, ring duration is doing nobody any benefit here with zeros, but the computer ring time is going to do its job here for you. And we can leverage that with the cradle to grave search sets to give that tertiary, secondary level of summarization on the call park pickup times spent. Let me spin through a few more here. But all these have call park pickup, call pickup, call pickup, here's a good one. Here's a great one. Okay, so this one has 26-second call, 26 seconds of actually wait time between getting parked. So this secondary leg, once again, got parked, so 2:57 and 23 seconds. To connect on the next leg, which was 26 seconds. So once again, this ring duration between the difference between these two does nobody any justice or provide any value, but the computed ring time value will, because this is certainly 26 seconds of computer ring time spent sitting in call park. Is really what that person was. They were sitting in call parks, they were parked, but then they were picked up in service for 45 seconds by whomever on this line here. Maybe that's external from the environment, kind of looks like it is. But once again, these are going to be great measurables to be able to go ahead and polish out reporting so that you know your average speed to answers and knowing what all the summarizations are for the hunt groups, for the shared line appearances, the IBRs and stuff like that. So not saying that we're completely throwing ring time out the window. However, we need to be more cognizant to use this newer metric of computer ring time to give you the accuracy that you're looking for on these complex routing scenarios. All right, that was a tongue twister. Last but not least, widget logic for CRT or computer ring time will appear in a subsequent release, not in Rev 1 out today. That is all I have. John, my friend, might we have any questions from the attendees?
Well, that was an awesome job there, Matt. Magnificent presentation. This is a feature that I'm really excited about. Hopefully our attendees are as well, but maybe they're more excited about getting their questions answered and winning a prize. So if anyone has any questions related to today's content, please put them in the Q&A panel because I haven't seen one yet.
Well, it's a good thing I had that secondary report then on the call park pickups.
Yeah, do the time.
No last minute ones that came in. I'll check the chat myself. Nope, nothing in Q&A either. Okay, after you, sir.
All right. Yeah, so now the moment you've all been waiting for.
Drum roll.
The winner of this week's workshop gift card is John Schutlauffel. Hopefully I said that right. Congratulations, John. Your account manager will be reaching out to you shortly to get you paid.
Congrats.
All right, now don't forget to join us next week when Brian and Jim will discuss the meaning and makeup of Variphy call scenarios, including abandoned, answered, voicemail, connected, and more. I'd like to thank you all once again for taking time to join us today. You all have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye now.
Thank you all.